Matt, as someone who hates both teams,
Vehemently.
what were your
There's nothing
thoughts?
but hate, vitriol, and disdain for both of these teams. Um, in fact, I wish I could think of another $4 word that I could use to describe the sheer depth of the just absolute hatred I have for both these teams. Anyway, but I digress. This was a good game. I think a lot of us in that first quarter watched that opening run by Georgia and we're like, this may get out of hand early. If you look back historically at SEC championship games, we've had a couple close ones, but the majority of them seem to kind of hit. Okay, one team's going to just completely nuke the whole thing, and the other team's not going to be able to really keep up. And I was worried that's what we were going to get in this game, but obviously that's not the way it panned out. Georgia comes out real bright to start, but then Georgia slows down again. They don't score any points in the second quarter. And Jesse, I think you made a valid point there about how this kind of came back to bite the dogs, no pun intended, to bite the dogs in the rear end a little bit because again they outscored Bama in the second half. They just couldn't get any points in that first half aside from that opening drive. I think Jalen Milroe is in the process of cementing his legacy at Bama. When you look at the amount of people they've had at quarterback, we're a long way away from the AJ McCarron era of game manager quarterbacks. And Jalen Milroe is just another page in that book, along with the other guys that we've seen play quarterback at Bama. And I watched when I was watching the tail end of this game. Georgia got it within 3 points right there at the end, and I'm like, Georgia might find a way to get this ball back if the defense can hold. And then Milroe on that very first play rolls off a 30-yard scramble to kind of ice it, and I was like, wow, like that's one. The play call is interesting. I don't know if I'd have been that excuse
Gutsy.
excuse the term ballsy to call a QB keeper on the very first play because if that blows up, you're immediately giving all the momentum back to Georgia, and they had some momentum late in that fourth quarter. But he pulled off that 30-yard scramble, and you're like, okay, all right, we see you, kid. And I was generally just impressed. It can't be stressed enough the work, and I hate saying this because I can't stand him. He's the devil. But you have to tip your cap to Nick Saban, and you have to tip your cap to that coaching staff because when we were in week 2, week 3, looking at Bama, we were like, "Good God, what is this?" Like
Yeah.
they're awful. They don't know who the quarterback is. They can't do anything defensively. They're all over the place. Like just the fact that they've roared back like they have is very impressive. This is a Bama team that looked very beatable earlier in the season. And going into this game, I mean, they looked like, there was a chance that they wouldn't be able to compete here. But they found a way to win, just like they found a way to win against Auburn, and just like they found a way to win against LSU, and just like the way they found a way to win after being down against Tennessee. So, I mean, hats off to them for a big win. And I think this is going to play a huge part into stuff we're going to talk about in just a second with the playoff committee and all that stuff. But yeah, just an excellent game. I was just glad this game was competitive because I went back and looked at the last couple SEC championship games, and a lot of them have been, 52-28 and 48.
I enjoyed last year's a lot.
Last year's was a good one too.
It was not
But
nearly as exciting.